today. I've been noticing that online there's a lot more GTRs, especially like the 33s, coming up for a bit more of a decent price. A lot more people seem to be getting into them now. So I just thought I'd give you a quick little guide of things that I wish I'd have known before I bought mine. Just like little quirks with them, and maybe some things you should look out for when you're buying them. So the most common thing, if you sort of Google GTR faults, will be the misfire. Depending on whether it misfires when it's cold, whether it misfires when it's warm, and whether it misfires under boost, depends on whether it's plugs, coil packs, or airflow meters. Or in my case, by about 6 weeks after I bought mine, all three. So the best way I can sort of steer you in the right direction to try and avoid that would be, it needs to be a dead cold start. So when you get there, make sure sort of, touch the top of the engine, make sure they haven't fired it up before you fire it up, so you can see what it ticks over like, whether it's a bit lumpy, whether the idle's up and down, and genuinely whether it misfires. They can just misfire on idle when they're really cold. Then you also need to be able to just drive it when it's at running temperature. So if you get there when it's cold, you probably only need about a 10-minute drive, and the water temperature will be up to running temperature, and then you'll know what it's like. In terms of under full boost, it just means like when the boost kicks in, it doesn't mean you have to be doing like 120 mile an hour down the dual carriageway while the owner sat there in the passenger seat holding on for grim death. It doesn't have to be you that drives it either. He can take it out for a test drive and basically get onto like a 70 mile an hour road, slow down to like 40, drop a gear, put your foot down, that's it. You don't need to like fall the way up the revs. I would probably say above 4,000 to about 6,000 you would feel it. Obviously these cars, mine's a 95, so it's 21 years old. It's not going to be brand new underneath. Now I'm not saying, unless you get it direct imported from Japan, if it's been in this country for more than a few years, it's going to be rusty underneath. So what you need to look for is it the type of rusty that you can just send it to a garage, get it treated, get rid of it, or you can oil it yourself and keep on top of it, or is it actually going to need welding? So you need to have a good look at the sills, around the boot area as well, like around the back of the rear quarters, also the arches. The arches are a common fault. Obviously you don't need to set the front wings or the front arches or anything like that because of aluminium on the GTRs, it's the same as the bonnet. But yeah, have a look out for that. Depends on how much you want to spend, how mint you want it, whether you want to daily it or not. Mine added a little bit on the arches. Obviously it's got worse over the 6 years I've owned it, but I do daily it quite a lot, and drive it during the winter. So to me it wasn't worth spending the extra few thousand to get an absolutely mint one underneath, because I was only going to ruin it by driving it in the winter anyway. And for those people that say, oh, you shouldn't be driving a GTR in the winter, blah blah blah, what's the point in owning a car if you're not going to drive it? That's my opinion. Obviously with the exception to certain countries, like locals for instance that live in Canada, obviously you can't drive a GTR in the snow. But normal winter weather conditions, just cold and stuff, it's fine. The other thing is the turrets. In terms of when we're talking about rot, would be the turrets. They are a common failing. They're triple skinned, they sweat, they rust from the inside out. Yeah, again, it depends on how you want to get it done. You can get it done so-called properly, where you have like a donor turret, you cut the top skin off, weld the top skin on. You can get it done with a body shop where they just cut it off and then weld a flat plate over the top. I've seen it where they sort of weld it up into like a bit of a dome, leave a hole in so you can squirt oil in it. Depends on personal preference, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye out for, and it is going to be a reasonably expensive job. So you can barter a few £100 off the price for that one. Brakes. Now, modified brakes are normal, like uprated brakes are normally like a bit of a preference. Doing there, just sat at the lights like a fucking noob. Idiot in his own fucking world. Get off your phone and pay attention to what you're doing. You're driving a wagon. Anyway, yeah, so brakes are a bit of normally a personal preference whether you want uprated brakes or not, but when it comes to the GTRs, for the amount of performance they have stock, not the chances that you come across a stock one anymore, but the amount of performance they have stock, the brakes are shocking from the factory. I mean, they're worse than having brakes made of cheese. I don't even think they're proper brake discs, I think they're like paper plates, because that's what it feels like. So if it hasn't got uprated disc and pads on, that's probably one of the first things you're going to want to do. If I'm being honest, that is one of the first things you're going to want to do. Other thing is to check the boot well, because they do have a common fault. Again, they leak, and the boot well fills with water, and if the leak's not fixed or, you know, regularly drained out and dried properly, then you're going to have problems with a rotting of your inside your boot well. These could be caused by three issues. So it can either be that the boot seal itself is either got chunks missing out of it, or it's just like gone old and hard. It can be the seal around the rear lights. So basically the drain off the boot is designed to run along the side of the boot and then down over the rear lights and like down like that cascade down the side. But what happens is the seal that holds the lights in goes, and then it runs into the lights, fills the lights up, leaks out through the bulb holders and into your boot. And the third one, which is quite a common, which is what's wrong with mine, is where the actual side of the boot panel, the rear quarter is, where the two panels meet, they like overlap like that. It goes down and in between there. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. That could just be resealed. You could do it yourself with some mastic, to be honest. It's not hard. That's what I did for mine. If it's been absolutely hooned, it's going to crunch. So it'll crunch under medium throttle between first and going into second. But the easiest way to test it, if you're just on a test drive and obviously you just want to poodle around in it, is to test going down the box. Now a lot of people when they're doing a test drive on a car, they test driving up the gears, but one of the biggest giveaways for the synchros being a bit shit is testing coming down the gears. So just when you're coming up to a junction or you're coming down to lights, just gently try and glance it down the gears. And what you will probably find is that it will struggle to go in a certain gear. That means that the synchro mesh it's had a bit of a pounding. So the two gears that you need to check is first to second, up and down, and fourth to fifth, up and down. I've noticed that mine's got this like sort of weird fault where if you're going down the box from fifth to fourth, it's fine. If you're going up the box under throttle from fourth to fifth, it's fine. But if you like gun it in fourth, ease off the throttle, back off the throttle completely, dip the clutch and go to put it in fifth, it's just like, no. Just every now and then, it's just like, no, not doing it. And it's not like all the time, it's just, but when it does it, you just feel like a noob because you just can't get it in gear. But GTR problems there.